People often say something is the best thing since sliced bread. But today is one of those rare days where we just might have something that finally dethrones pre-sliced bagged bread as the greatest invention ever. Enter the Ranvoo AICE Lite Max, a personal air conditioning device. We won't beat around the bush and have you wait another 20 minutes before telling you if it works. Spoiler alert, it does. Over the next few minutes, in addition to personal anecdotes on how the device works for me, we'll also show you some footage from a thermal camera to help show the AICE Lite Max is more than just a neck clamp that blows air. I bought this personal AC for one simple reason. Fred hoards cold air like a dragon does gold coins. Spring through fall, his favorite place to park his big booty is across the air conditioning vents. Let me show you what I mean.
Frederick, you're hogging all the cold air. You gotta leave some cold air for the rest of us. You're just stealing it. You're hogging it all, Fred. You know what you're doing.
As you can see, if I want some cold air of my own, I need to find alternative means. In this case, the Ranvoo AICE Lite Max. The big question when I purchased the AICE Lite Max was, can something that clamps to your neck really cool you down? Fans just blow air, and if you live somewhere with high humidity, the evaporative cooling effect of air moving across perspiration has little to no effect. There's already too much moisture in the air for sweat to evaporate, is the long and short of it. So during summer, when mature corn in heaven, also known as Iowa, sends over 50 billion gallons of water into the atmosphere each day, well, when your parents and grandparents said things like, it wasn't this hot when I was a kid, they weren't lying. Significantly more corn is harvested per acre today compared to when they were kids, orders of magnitude more. That extra moisture in the air drives the humidity up, which then makes you feel hotter because your own body's natural cooling mechanism, sweating, is less effective. If all this personal AC did was act as a fan that sits on your neck, it probably wouldn't cool you down much, if at all. Good thing the Ranvoo AICE Lite Max has more than just blow air. The primary method by which the AICE Lite Max cools you down are cooling plates that sit against the sides and back of your neck. I would go as far as to say the neck fan action is a necessary byproduct of how the plates are cooled down. There's no refrigerant in this personal AC like your home or car air conditioning has. The plates are cooled using a scientific principle known as the Peltier effect. So do the plates on this AICE Lite Max get cold enough to make a difference? Luckily, we have more than an I feel the plate gets cold colder method to work with here. We'll use the magic of a thermal camera to help us be a little scientific. We'll start with the AICE Lite on a little table powered off at room temperature. For this clip, the unit is in AI mode. The temperature is at 68 degrees Fahrenheit with the fan speed at 1/3 speed. It takes about 30 seconds for the plates to start to get cold, and within about 2 minutes, they're really down to temp. I'm going to drop the temp down as low as it will go, as well as put the fans to the maximum. Let's see if we can tell a difference. By the end of the clip, you can see a little proof that the plate's cooled down, but also a visual on where the heat goes. For as much as this feels like magic, even those who read fantasy books know not even magic can create something out of nothing. At the end of the thermal footage, you can see the hot air going out the exhaust ports towards the front of the unit. Air flows in through the back of the unit. Some is directed across the cold metal and out the tops and bottom, where the cold air conditioning effect. The bulk of the air is used to expel heat from that cooling plate that goes out these front exhaust ports. There's times where you notice that hot air. I'd say I notice it most when walking in a direction where the wind blows the exhaust back at you. But I found the cooling from the plate overcomes the exhaust blowback, shall we say, but you still notice it. The cooling plates by far do the bulk of the heavy lifting when it comes to the cooling capabilities of the AICE Lite Max. Now is a good time to talk about the different modes of the AICE Lite Max as well as the controls. This is where, for me, the bulk of the negatives with this product pop up. You technically can't control some of the functionality with a button and rocker buttons found on the top left of the unit, but only some. For me, they work, but I'm going to put work in air quotes. In my experience, you pretty much have to use the app to use the AICE Lite Max, which is disappointing. Pressing the power button should do on-off, while a long press should change modes. For me, pressing the power button is a lottery. Sometimes a simple press does on-off. Sometimes it just pauses the fans. Sometimes I have to do a long press to turn on or off, while others, that long press does the mode switching. It can be frustrating when you just want to turn the unit off and it instead goes into heating mode, for example. The fan temp rocker control is similarly frustrating. What it controls varies by what mode you're in, and even then, things like finer temperature control you have to do in the app. There's no way to actually do that with the rocker. Since you pretty much have to use the app, I'm going to show you a few screens captured from it. When your phone is paired to the AICE Lite Max, you have the ability to control the temperature, the fan speed, change the mode, and power off the unit. Cooling mode means the cooling plate is on and the fan is on. Heating mode means the plate is in heating mode, the fans are on, but they're limited. Fan mode only runs the fans with no cooling plate. And finally, we have AI mode. We'll come back to that in a minute. Some other options you have are silent mode, which limits the fan speed to reduce noise, hot pack, which quickly jumps to the warmest heating mode, cooling first, which jumps to the coldest mode and puts the fans to the maximum, and finally, low power mode, which reduces power to the cooling plate and the AI sensor to help conserve power. Other than AI mode, everything else is pretty straightforward. So what does AI mode do exactly? I don't know. I can tell you the cooling plate and the fans run, but beyond that, I can't really tell you what it actually does. For me, it just seems to be a crappier version of cooling mode. The plate doesn't seem to stay consistently cold. It gets cold, and after a few minutes, it's noticeably not cold, but maybe still cool. I've not noticed the fan ramp up or down in AI mode, so for me, it's a big mystery what it does. It almost feels like it's there to take advantage of a catchy word today, AI. Almost everything has AI in it these days. Silent mode sounds good in theory, but since I control the fan noise via the fan speed slider already, as a result, silent mode doesn't seem to have any effect. Hot pack, cold pack, and low power mode feel similarly tossed in features that just duplicate existing modes using a different name and feature. Maybe some graphic designer thought the app looked better with 2 sets of 4 buttons there, who knows. Of the various modes and options, they'll almost exclusively use cooling mode. Heating mode I'll have to revisit come winter. When in cooling mode, I have the fan speed often at about 1/3, sometimes half. At half speed and above, you really notice the fan noise. The temperature I'll set around 68, but again, that depends on the day and the conditions. One other pain point on the AICE Lite Max is the display on the side. With the unit powered off, you'd think the large black area on the left side is a display, but nay. Only a small portion of it is. The bigger issue is the info displayed. The only time you can see the temperature is when in AI mode. When in cooling mode, you see vague details like C3 or C1. Other than battery, I'd call the display pretty much worthless. In my book, they could eliminate the on-device display altogether and have a simple battery LED. With how limited the on-device controls are, you're already using the app anyway. Speaking of battery, the advertised 30 hours of cooling, that's beyond optimistic in my experience. Mind you, the vast majority of the time I have the temp at 68 and the fan at 1/3. I get 2 to 4 hours of battery, depending on the conditions, which is well below 30 hours of cooling, obviously. As far as wearability goes on the AICE Lite Max, I wouldn't call it uncomfortable, but you notice it when you're wearing it. It takes some getting used to. Weighing in at a little over 1 pound, 2 ounces, the unit is not very heavy on your shoulders and neck. It's more of how it clamps onto your neck. To get the benefit of the cold plate, you need the cold plates tied against your skin. Luckily, the fold mechanism is easy to use and has a nice range of motion, so it's easy enough to get situated properly. If I was running, jumping, climbing trees, I think the unit would bounce around and get out of place, but on Fred and I's regular walks at maximum corgi speed, it stays in place without issue. Which reminds me, in the fine print on one picture, I saw a note saying, new tangle-free technology. I can't comment on the previous version of this device, obviously, but at least on this one, I've had zero issues with my hair getting caught in it, or tangled up in it, or causing any other kind of problem. Before we get to our final thoughts on the AICE Lite Max, let's do a little more science. This time asking the question, is the $200-ish personal air conditioner better than the $10 ICE gel neck cooling pack? Right out the fridge, you can see the gel neck cooler starts out colder. Based on color, I'd say the AICE Lite Max never gets quite as cold as that gel neck cooler. Similar to the previous thermal video, you can see the hot exhaust ports on the AICE Lite Max versus where the true cold part of the unit is. With the gel neck cooler set right on the table, you can see some of that cold being absorbed by the poster board it's set upon. One aspect of that gel neck cooler not accurately represented in the thermal video clip, like we just saw, is how contact with a pumin affects it. When worn, the gel closest to your person melts first. For the first 10 to 15 minutes, that gel neck cooler works pretty well. However, once enough of the gel melts such that it's a liquid surrounding the solid gel, at that point, I find the cooling effect to be greatly diminished. So while gel neck coolers have better price point by a mile compared to the personal AC, on a single use, instant base, the personal AC has more longevity compared to the gel neck cooler. In addition to that, I don't need to keep the personal AC in a fridge, stocked cooler, before I want to wear it. I can keep it in my bag or sitting on a shelf, and then I'm one button press and 30 seconds away from a colder experience. Before we call it a day, let's do a quick demo of what you hear when the personal air conditioner is running. I'll start it with the fans on at 1/3. I'll say some random lines, up it to 2/3, say a few more random lines, and end with a few lines with the fans at the maximum. Right now, I have the fan at 1/3. Chuck Norris counted to infinity twice. Chuck Norris beat the sun in a staring contest. MC Hammer learned the hard way. Chuck Norris can touch this. The fan is now at 2/3 speed. Chuck Norris tells Simon what to do. Chuck Norris doesn't dial the wrong number. You pick up the wrong phone. Chuck Norris is the reason Waldo is hiding. The fan is now at the maximum. Chuck Norris can build a snowman out of rain. If it looks like chicken, tastes like chicken, feels like chicken, but Chuck Norris says it's beef, then it's beef. Chuck Norris can pick oranges from an apple tree and make the best lemonade you've ever tasted. All right, I have the fan now off. How many true stories did you hear, and which was your favorite? If you have a better one, let us know. As we wind down today's video, 2 words define the Ranvoo AICE Lite Max in my book. Portable comfort. Portable comfort at the press of a button is extremely convenient. If you are like I was, you might just find the Ranvoo AICE Lite Max to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. Sure, most of the modes are filler on the device, and the device controls leave much to be desired. But when it comes down to it, it does the cooling part well, and that's what matters. For me, the Ranvoo AICE Lite Max quickly became one of my favorite gadgets. It's a go-to on even mild days for helping keep all this food muscle cooled down. Well, that seems like the perfect spot to end today's video. If you enjoyed today's presentation, like it, share it with your friends and family. Those things are free, and they really help the channel greatly. Fred and I really appreciate you getting this far. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a nice night.
Why do you look skeptical of the neck cooler, Frederick? Isn't it cooling you down with your big bearskin coat? Look at this. How many other Corkins do you think have personal air conditioners? You're right, probably all of them but your brother. With how demanding you guys are. I know, I seen it happen. And you get all hot when you go walking and you're like, human, AC to the maximum. I need to lay on a vent. I'm bringing ice cream, stat. And now you got a personal air conditioner that you're gonna wear. So that way you can just steal your own cold air. Look at that, huh? Snazzy. Snazzy. You make your brother jelly, Frederick. He doesn't have a personal air conditioner. Yeah, I know. You're proud of yourself. You're like, it is pretty nice. What are you guys doing?